Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
In Deuteronomy chapter 2, Moses remembers the time when God protected two other nations from Israel. You see, after Israel left Kadesh, they had to pass through Edom. Now, Edom was the descendants of Esau, the brother of Jacob. And in verse 4 we read, God told Moses, "Give the people of Israel these orders. You are about to pass through the territory of your relatives, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir. They will be afraid of you, but be very careful. Do not provoke them to war, for I will not give you any of their land, not even enough to put your foot on. I have given Esau the hill country of Seir as his own." You see, Moses here reminds Israel that nations and their lands belong to the Lord. Just because Israel is endowed with military power, numerous soldiers who can make war, does not mean they can go to war and defeat anyone. Israel should not engage in expansionist agendas because God has already set the boundaries of each nation, and Israel needs to honor that. Friends, there are things today we can do and cannot do. There are things we are supposed to do and not supposed to do. There is a will of God for us, and there are things that God has not appointed for us. In Acts chapter 8, we read of Simon who saw that the Spirit was given at the laying on of the apostles' hands, and therefore he offered the apostles money, asking them for this ability. Sometimes our wishes and dreams that could be inspired by others' gifts and talents need to be evaluated under the light of God's will. If it is not God's will for us, then we could just give it a pass. And again in Deuteronomy chapter 2, from verse 9 onwards, Moses now reminds the Israelites about another nation, the nation of Moab. Moses reminds the Israelites about another nation, the Moabites. He tells them how the Lord told him, "Do not harass the Moabites or provoke them to war, for I will not give you any part of their land. I have given Er, the descendants of Lot, as a possession." Friends, again we are reminded that some ministries, some opportunities, some gifts and vocations belong to some people. God is the one who has given it to them. Believers honor the Lord and those other people by not competing with them in an area where God has not assigned to them. Moses also lays out another fact in Deuteronomy chapter 2 from verse 10 onwards that may seem unsettling for believers today. Moses tells Israel that God was the one who helped the Edomites drive out the Anakites who previously were in Seir. We know that Israel once called those Anakites giants, and because of them refused to enter the promised land. But here Moses tells them that it was God who helped Edom to defeat the Anakites. Friends, it could be unsettling for a believer to know that God empowers even others who are not believers. But we are rightly informed here that God's purpose is beyond the local church and His people inside the church. God is the Lord of the whole world, and His purpose is for all creation. Paul therefore tells us that ultimately creation and everything else will be brought under the lordship of Christ our Lord. Therefore, believers can look around and see God working in mysterious ways everywhere in the world. From verse 20 onwards, Moses talks about another people group called Rephaites. Those people were strong and numerous people, as tall as the Anakites. Verse 21 says, "It was the Lord who destroyed them from before the Ammonites." But there is a message for Israel here. Israel needs to do what the Edomites and Ammonites did. Israel also has been given the promised land by the Lord. Now they need to go in and possess the land given to them by the Lord. They must not be afraid or allow unbelief. If the Lord had given it to them, He will strengthen them. Friends, in whatever God has assigned for us to do, we can trust the Lord that He will empower us. Finally, Moses cites the example of Israel's war with Sihon, king of Heshbon, from verse 24 onwards. He tells Israel how God gave Sihon into the hands of Israel. And not only that, in verse 36 we read, "From Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, and from the town in the gorge, even as far as Gilead, not one town was too strong for us. The Lord our God gave us all of them." You see, Moses is humble enough to say that God was the one who gave them victory. Friends, believers stay away from things God has not assigned for them. But when God gives them the things that have been assigned for them, they trust the Lord's promise and His power and do what they are supposed to do. And in the end, they refrain from taking credit for themselves but give God the glory for it.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.